One reckless punch has changed everything. Will never intended to hit Eric, but intention may not matter anymore. Eric is humiliated, the Forrester-Spencer feud is exploding, and Electra is about to see a frightening side of the man she loves. The episode begins at Bikini, moments after Will's punch accidentally sends Eric crashing to the floor. Everyone is frozen. Will had aimed for RJ after the argument became personal. Eric's public attack on the Spencers had already created tension, but Will could not stay quiet after hearing Katie insulted. He shouted that nobody was going to speak about his mother that way. Then he swung. Unfortunately, Eric stepped into the path of the punch. Will immediately realizes how serious the situation looks. This is no longer a heated argument between two young rivals. Eric Forrester, the respected head of the family, is now lying on the floor because Will lost control. RJ refuses to accept that it was simply an accident. From his perspective, Will brought violence into the situation. The fact that Eric was not the intended target does not erase what happened. RJ already sees Will as an enemy, and this incident gives him another reason to believe that Will is dangerous. Meanwhile, at Forrester Creations, Ridge continues replaying Eric's public meltdown. That livestream did more than damage Eric's image, it reopened the hostility between the Forresters and the Spencers. Eric allowed his anger to take control during the question and answer session, and now his words are spreading everywhere. Brooke quietly enters Ridge's office after spending time thinking about her recent confrontations with Katie and Hope. But her attention quickly turns to Ridge. The two reconnect while discussing the couture show and Eric's emotional collapse. Brooke is disappointed that the collection was only streamed and that nobody experienced the gowns live. Still, the fashion itself is no longer the main story. Eric's breakdown has overshadowed everything. Ridge believes the reporter deliberately pushed Eric during the interview. According to Ridge, Eric remained controlled until the pressure finally became too much. That distinction matters to Ridge. He does not see his father as someone who simply lost his temper without reason. He sees Eric as someone who was provoked while already carrying deep emotional frustration. But Ridge is not interested in calming the conflict. Eric declared war on the Spencers, and Ridge appears completely willing to support him. In Ridge's mind, if the Spencers want a battle, the Forresters will answer. This shows how quickly loyalty can become fuel. Ridge wants to protect his father, but his refusal to challenge Eric's behavior could make the situation even worse. Instead of separating the families from one emotional outburst, he is preparing for a larger confrontation. Across town at Logan, Bill has a very different reaction. He is entertained by the memes being created from Eric's meltdown. Bill sees Eric's humiliation as a consequence of Eric's own behavior. He is not interested in excuses, sympathy, or forgiveness. Katie, however, is devastated. She is still hurt by the way Eric spoke about her. His comments made her appear disloyal and tasteless, as though she had betrayed someone who trusted her. But Katie's pain is deeper than public embarrassment. She explains that Eric has always felt like a father figure to her. She respects him. She values their relationship. Hearing him speak about her with such anger felt like watching that bond collapse in front of everyone. Katie is not only defending herself, she is mourning a friendship. Bill reminds her that Eric is an adult who made his own choices. Eric promised to support Katie as her designer, then allowed his anger to destroy that commitment. Bill believes Eric has refused to take responsibility. And because of that, Bill plans to show no mercy. Bill's position is harsh, but it is also direct. He believes Eric cannot demand respect while refusing to acknowledge the damage he caused. Katie remains torn. She is hurt by Eric, but she cannot simply erase years of affection. That emotional conflict makes her vulnerable. She does not want to fight Eric, yet she also cannot pretend his words meant nothing. Bill then points out that at least Will defended her. The statement is meant to comfort Katie. But neither of them knows how badly that defense has already gone. Back at Bikini, Will checks on Eric. Fortunately, Eric appears physically all right. The fall was alarming, but he does not seem seriously injured. When Deacon returns and sees the aftermath, he is stunned. The atmosphere inside the club has completely changed. What began as an argument has become a family crisis. Will tries to apologize. Eric refuses to hear it. Before leaving, Eric tells Will to save his apology. Then he delivers the insult that cuts directly into Will's deepest family connection. Eric says Will is living up to his father's legacy. That comment is not accidental. Eric is comparing Will to Bill. He is suggesting that the anger, aggression, and recklessness associated with Bill are now appearing in his son. For Will, that judgment is painful. He stepped forward because Katie had been attacked. In his mind, he was defending his mother, but Eric now sees him as proof that the Spencer legacy is exactly as destructive as he believes. Will's attempt to protect Katie has become another weapon in the feud. And the punishment is not finished. The moment Eric leaves, RJ turns toward Will and punches him hard. Will has now taken one emotional blow from Eric and one physical blow from RJ. But the hardest hit is still coming. RJ calls Will scum. The anger between them is no longer controlled by words. Both young men have now thrown punches, but Will's situation is far more damaging because Eric was caught in the middle. Will looks toward Electra and immediately notices something different in her expression. She is not simply angry. She is afraid of him. That realization breaks through Will's remaining anger. He tries to make Electra understand that he never meant to hurt Eric. He calls her Angel and begs her to believe his apology. But Electra has just watched the man she loves lose control. Whether the punch was intended for Eric or not, she saw Will use violence. For her, the accident does not erase the choice that came before it. At Forrester Creations, Ridge receives another call about the growing conflict between the Forresters and Spencers. The feud is already becoming larger than Eric's original comments. Every reaction is creating another reaction. Every insult is producing another defense. Brooke tries to focus on Ridge and the comfort she finds with him. Then RJ's text arrives. Will punched Eric. The message changes everything. Brooke and Ridge immediately head toward the Forrester mansion. There is no time to slowly examine what happened. From the information Ridge receives, Will attacked Eric, and RJ is clearly furious. This is exactly how family feuds accelerate. Details disappear, emotions take over, each side hears the version that confirms what it already believes. At Logan, Katie worries about the same danger. She knows Will is in love with a Forrester. That relationship once offered hope that the next generation might avoid repeating the bitterness of the past. Now Will and Electra are caught directly inside the conflict. Bill remains confident. He believes the young couple will survive the hostility surrounding their families. But Bill has not seen Electra's face. He does not know that fear has entered the relationship. After receiving a message about a meeting, Bill leaves Katie alone. She begins replaying memories of her friendship with Eric and the painful hostility that now exists between them. These flashbacks underline what Katie is losing. Eric was not always her opponent. Their relationship was built on respect and emotional trust. That is why his public rejection hurts so much. Anger from a stranger would be easier to dismiss. Anger from someone she considered family feels like betrayal. Then Katie receives a text from Deke explaining what happened at Bikini. The news is devastating. Will defended her because he could not tolerate Eric insulting her, but now his loyalty has created consequences Katie never asked for. She has already lost Eric's respect. Now she may also have to watch her son's relationship collapse because of the same feud. Back at Bikini, Will refuses to leave. He will not walk away from Electra. He will not accept that one terrible mistake can end everything between them. But Electra is furious. She tells Will that he punched the sweetest person in the world. For Electra, Eric is not merely the leader of the Forrester family. He represents warmth, safety, and goodness. Seeing him knocked to the floor was horrifying. Will continues insisting that it was an accident. Technically, he is telling the truth. He did not aim for Eric. But Electra is reacting to the anger behind the punch, not only the person it hit. Will still chose to swing at RJ. He still allowed his emotions to become physical. That is what scares her. Dylan and RJ remain nearby as Will's desperation intensifies. Will begins to unravel. He pleads with Electra to leave with him. He asks her to run away, come home, or do anything that will keep them together. His words reveal how quickly confidence has turned into panic. Will entered the confrontation believing he was protecting his mother. Now he is watching his future with Electra disappear. His desperation is understandable, but it also adds more pressure to a moment when Electra clearly needs distance. Instead of calming down, Will keeps demanding an answer that will reassure him. Electra gives him an answer. It is simple. It is final. No, never, it's over. Those words hit harder than RJ's punch. Will can defend himself against accusations. He can explain that Eric was struck accidentally. He can insist that his intentions were good. But he cannot argue Electra out of being afraid. RJ steps in and makes sure Will understands what she said. Then he leads Electra away from the confrontation. Will calls after her, but she does not turn back. This breakup is not only about one punch. It is about trust. Electra has seen Will's anger before, but this time the consequences landed directly on someone she deeply loves. The moment forces her to ask whether Will can control himself when his family is attacked. For Will, the tragedy is that his loyalty to Katie was real. His love for Electra was real too. Yet those two emotions collided, and his anger destroyed the balance between them. Dylan remains behind as Will faces the aftermath. Her presence does not confirm what will happen next, but it creates an emotional question. Will has just lost Electra, and Dylan is one of the people still standing nearby while his world falls apart. The episode closes with nearly every relationship under pressure. Eric and Katie's friendship has shattered. Ridge and Bill are preparing to defend their families. RJ and Will have turned rivalry into violence. And Electra has ended her relationship after seeing a side of Will she could no longer ignore. Will wanted to prove that nobody could disrespect his mother without consequences. Instead, he may have given the Forresters exactly the evidence they needed to believe he is becoming like Bill. Was Electra right to end the relationship immediately, or does Will deserve another chance after an accident he deeply regrets? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for daily the bold and the beautiful spoilers, recaps and dramatic updates.